Is that better? Can you hear me now? How about that? Is that better? Is that better? Can you hear me now? There we go. I don't know. That was crazy. I guess we'll use a microphone today. Normally I'm good to go with what I had, and I apologize, guys. Well, good morning. Welcome to Facing Reality. It's me, January, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing most days, but we're good to go. Do you guys have a wonderful weekend? I hope so. Let me get everything back up and going. That was crazy. I don't know, guys. Sorry about that. Here I thought I was doing good. I had everything set up, but I guess I didn't pay attention to that little button. So if you can hear me, let me know in the chat. Thank you so much. Queen Petty, great to see you. Gail, good morning. Good to see you. Just to reiterate where I just was, we are continuing the trial of Mark Redwine. Today we are going to look at the last videos taken of Dylan. We saw the last pictures that he took with his friends, and today we're going to see him in the airport, and we are going to see him in the Walmart. Man, it's sad that the last of anything that his mom has is a CCTV footage from a Walmart. Like, oh, it just breaks my heart. Good weekend. You woke up sick. Oh no. Yes, you don't have to be here, Gail. You sure don't. Get you some rest, drink lots of water, vitamin C, and all your B vitamins help a lot too. So I know but it wouldn't be me if I didn't just offer a little bit of like this. I take care of yourself. I am doing great, Queen Petty. I had a wonderful weekend. I spent the weekend with my children, did some work, all that good stuff. But I'm ready to kick it into high gear. I'm excited to get into the meat and potatoes of this case. I know it's kind of been a little, at first, just seeing his friends and stuff. But I want to start with a quick little video. That's fine, Gail. We appreciate you being here. I want to start with a quick video before we start the trial. This is Ryan Nava. This was, we saw him on the stand as a grown man. This was him right after Mark was arrested, and it may not be after he was arrested. It was after his remains were found. My apologies. But I wanted you guys to see the magnitude of the amount of time that took place. To see this grown man on the stand talking about his friend. I want you to see how small these kids were, how young they were, how influential they were. It's important because sadly we have some current cases right now that we have nothing, and that's just like this case. There was nothing for a very long time. So again, hit that like button if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's take a look at this video here.
Just in tonight, we're hearing from one of the last people to talk to Dylan Redwine, the Colorado teen whose remains were just found 7 months after he vanished. Action 7 News reporter Plata Colorado has more from Bayfield.
The Pine River by Eagle Park in Bayfield, Colorado. This was one of Dylan Redwine's favorite hangout spots.
We were drawn to it, I guess.
It's where we meet Ryan Nava.
We made plans to hang out, and yeah, I was looking forward to it.
The friend that was supposed to meet up with Dylan on the day the 13-year-old disappeared.
We were texting.
Nava doesn't remember the last text he got from Dylan. Since November 19, the day Dylan Redwine went missing, Nava has been part of the search efforts. Now the search is over. Dylan's bones were found several miles away from his father's home in Vallecito Lake.
It was just like a whole 7 months of all this hard work and hope and stuff just shattered.
At one point, it's going to be time to take down missing signs just like this one. But friends and family members of Dylan Redwine say they are not letting go of the hope that police will one day find what really happened to the 13-year-old. La Plata County Sheriff's Office says Dylan's death is now a homicide investigation. There are no suspects. Authorities say his father, Mark Redwine, was the last person to see his son. Nava, who stayed overnight at Redwine's house, says he never sensed any tension between father and son.
When I was around with Dylan and his father, or when I was around them, they seemed like best friends. I mean, they were really close.
Nava says Saturday's vigil might bring some closure. But as for answers, those are harder to come by. In Bayfield, Colorado, Plata Colorado, KOAT Action 7 News.
And you can count on Action 7 News to bring you the latest on the Dylan Redwine case. We'll bring you to the vigil. We'll be there, and we'll have all the developments tomorrow on Action 7 News. And check KOAT.com for continuous updates.
90% of signs of age sun. Discover Anthelios Ultralight Sunscreen by La Roche-Posay.
Alrighty, I just wanted you guys to see that real quick. See how young and like I said, influential these youngins were. All right, let's get right into the trial. So this actually took place on day 2 of the trial. We're going at our own pace, so we're a little bit, we're doing a little bit off. This is Don Brockus, and he was the security, camera guy at the airport.
Can you please state your full name, spelling your last name for the record?
Okay, it's Donald, actually, Brockus, B-R-O-C-K-U-S.
How are you today, sir?
Doing well.
Are you currently employed?
I am.
How are you employed?
I work for the Southern Ute Tribe Permanent Fund as a risk and emergency manager.
How long have you lived in the Plata County, Mr. Brockus?
30 years.
And how were you employed in 2012?
As of 2012, I was Deputy Director of Aviation for Durango, La Plata County Airport.
What were your duties and responsibilities in that role at the airport?
A lot. Basically, I managed all landside and airside operations, supervised directly, carried out another number of functions from finance and accounting to supervising the custodial staff, but importantly, for this case anyway, I was as much of an IT person as the airport had. So I managed all the networking, video surveillance, all the IT systems out there.
What was your role with regards to video surveillance at the airport?
Actually, I designed and deployed most of the system, installed a lot of the cabling and cameras myself with the help of an assistant.
What was the reason you took that on as a project back then?
Because we had no video surveillance prior to that, and another of my duties was that I was airport security coordinator, and felt like that was a gap in our security system out there that I had the ability to address.
Where did you have the cameras installed?
I had a variety of locations. I think, again, actually, at the point in time that the events in question occurred, that I had about 8 up and running, all on the air side of the terminal building.
How'd the cameras...
Or on land side, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Okay, and I'm sorry to jump in on you there.
Yeah, that's okay.
How'd the cameras work?
Well, they were what are known as IPPoE cameras. They ran off the power drawn over the internet cables that served them. They were routed back through Cisco routers that provided the power and up to a server that I had up in the main offices of the airport. The cameras had a number of capabilities, because in those days anyway, our server storage capacities were pretty limited. I had those 8 cameras set up to detect motion. They were capable of that, and to record whenever there was motion in their visual field.
At that point, 2012, did you have cameras in every part of the airport?
Not in every part by any means, no. At that point in time, I had none in the gate area that were recording anyway. I had none out on the air side, so out on the ramp where the aircraft parked. I had a couple of cameras out there that I could watch from home to see what was going on, but they were not tied into the server so that they recorded. So the only recording cameras that I had going at that point anyway were in the ticketing, the main hallway in the center of the terminal building, and the baggage claim areas.
About the arrival area, or the area towards baggage claim and arrival?
I had cameras pointing out there. So essentially, a couple of them actually. I had one that was positioned roughly in the center of the terminal building, pointing down through the walkway by the rental car area, in between the rental car counters and the baggage claim area. I had another one up at the far north end of the building that pointed back at the baggage belt. So I did have a couple of cameras up there. I had two in the center hallway that were focused only on the center hallway. I had another one positioned in the center, pointed toward the airline ticket counters and the walkway out in front of them. And then I had three more installed to get a good view of what was going on at the airline ticket counters.
Okay. Jury's hearing evidence about an incident that took place on November 18th, 2012. Do you recall being requested by law enforcement to look for recordings from different locations in the airport on that date, November 18th, 2012?
I do.
Do you recall finding a video relevant to their request?
I do.
Your Honor, if I may approach with what's been marked as People 37 for identification, it's been previously provided. Yes. Thank you. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
What is that?
This one is a DVD recording of the video that I did locate, that I later learned probably did in fact contain some footage of Mark Redwine and Dylan Redwine, and it contains my initials. These particular initials were added in 2020 in an interview with the deputy.
Now, do those initials signify that you went back on that date in 2020 and watched the clip again?
I did.
And do the contents of that DVD accurately reflect, in fact, exactly capture the recording that you isolated, including Mark Redwine and Dylan Redwine on November 18, 2012?
They did. They exactly matched what I recall having recorded and given to a deputy back in 2012.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, at this time, the people would move to admit People 37 into evidence.
Any objection?
If the court prefers, I can approach. Or
no, I want to hear your objection.
So Colorado Rule of Evidence 102 is the basis for our objection. Videos that we have been provided, that I assume is what the witnesses looking at, is incomplete and therefore inadmissible. The theory that Dylan Redwine and his father were distant, and that's demonstrated by Walmart and airport videos, is something that the prosecution is seeking to use this video to demonstrate. This video starts after Mr. Redwine and Dylan Redwine have first greeted each other, so it creates a misleading impression as it currently stands, so it's now more prejudicial than probative under Colorado Rule of 103. I'd ask permission to voir dire on this if the court has any further questions on it, but based on the lack of personal knowledge with respect to all of what's contained on this video, then I believe it to be more prejudicial than probative and would object to its permission.
You want to make a record?
Your Honor, this video clip was provided to counsel years ago, and I can look up the exact date if needed. The witness has already testified. It captures the exact and complete recording that he was able to isolate of Dylan Redwine and Mark Redwine. If counsel has questions about other recordings that he may think exist out there, obviously he can cross-examine the witness on it. The clip was provided to counsel years ago, and I can look up the exact
Okay.
date.
I understand his objection, the defense's objection, in saying that you cannot tell just by a video, basically, like, how dare you say that their relationship was distant, etc., just by what you see on this Walmart and the airport surveillance video, and that the Walmart video that we'll see here in just a moment was taken after they had already greeted each other at the airport, etc. So I understand the defense's side on that, or their take. However, if you were to ever pull up any video of me and my children at a Walmart, you're not going to see what you see in this video. So I'll just say that. Here we go.
But otherwise, you believe the foundation's been laid for a proper admission?
Court agrees the foundation's been laid. If there's additional video you wanted to show, you can show it. So it's admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Brockus, I'm going to have people 37 in evidence put on the screen and played. A short clip. We'll watch it, and then I'll ask you a few follow-up questions, okay?
There are permission to move about the law.
Oh, sure. Just as long as you're not in front of the jury.
I'm going to play it first, Mr. Brockus, then I'll play it again and ask you a couple questions, okay? All right, if we could go back to the beginning. Your Honor, may I approach Mr. Brockus?
You may.
Give him the pointer and ask him to step down.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mr. Brockus, excuse me, we're streaming this. So if you could hold the microphone in one hand, you have to hit the mute button to make it work, I think. You see it on the left button? Okay. And then you can hold that and just tap on the top so we don't switch. I'm not hearing anything. Yes. No, we're not hearing anything. The battery state, do you think? Yes. Hold on a second, Mr. Brockus. Let the reporter deal with it. Okay, do we have more here? Or? Yes. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Simple practice. Never let administrative work stop.
Selector.
It was on.
It was on.
Check. Well,
Yeah, you hit it. You hit the select button. Try not to hit any of the buttons.
No buttons.
No buttons.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brockus. What area of the airport are we looking at here at the first piece of the video?
This is the main center hallway of the terminal building. In the far upper, my left-hand corner, are the doors that enter that hallway from the gate. So arriving passengers go through the gate area, come out those doors, and up through the center hallway, and directly behind, just to the lower right-hand corner or side of things, would be the exit doors going out of the center of the terminal.
The record, you were referencing the exit doors to the right of the screen.
Correct. Sorry.
Okay.
That's good.
So where are people coming from when they're entering the top of the screen there?
I'll point up here in the upper left-hand corner where that no entrance sign is. That's a security area from that point on. So passengers come out of that secured side and enter the public areas of the terminal.
Hit play here, please.
Pardon? Okay.
And were you able to locate the individuals you believe to be Dylan Redwine and Mark Redwine in this clip?
I can.
And where do you see them in the clip, sir?
Mr. Redwine is in the light-colored, I believe, light-colored baseball cap, blue jacket. Dylan's in the shorts T-shirt, and the ball cap that appears to be on backwards, carrying a backpack.
What color hat does Dylan appear to have on?
It appears to be white, with some sort of lettering on it in dark colors.
And what color shirt does Dylan have on?
Black.
He's wearing shorts, you said?
Correct. Also appear to be black shorts.
We'll stop it here. What direction are they heading at this point, Mr. Brockus?
They are headed straight in the direction of the main exit doors going out the center of the terminal building.
You could have a seat again, sir. Thank you. We're done with the screen, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. Brockus, were you able to locate any other video before or after the clip that's played here?
I was not.
And what is the reason we would not have them on video after that point?
Well, I can only assume from the positioning of my cameras and the fact there were no videos there, the only way you could get out of the building without showing up on other cameras would be by exiting the center doors.
So if they left straight from the airport at that point, it would not have shown on other cameras?
Correct.
Your Honor, I have nothing further from Mr. Brockus. Thank you, sir.
All right. Mr. Moran?
Thank you, Your Honor. And if I could request that exhibit just be put on the first frame. Mr. Brockus, I'm in trouble today for failure to project and enunciate, so let me know. If you can't hear me, you'll be helping other folks out too. And I sort of like Mr. Broadcast, Mr. Brockus. With respect to the video that we're watching, are you the one who isolated this footage?
Yes.
Okay. So this wasn't an employee of yours, you specifically at the request of law enforcement went to find footage of Mr. Redwine and his child?
So initially, an employee and I were working together, working at screens connected to the server. The bits and bytes, if you will, were stored on a server at that point in time. So we were reviewing video together, going through all the cameras over a longer period of time. We weren't sure right then exactly when they would have come into the building. So we were reviewing quite a pretty good volume of footage and working together. And I don't recall which one of us actually saw this one first. It could have been either one of us. But then we began to work together as soon as it was identified. And I was the one that made the initial CD copy.
I see.
Yeah.
I got the impression that you were the boss based on your
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your Honor, may I approach? I'd like to point
Yes.
something out on this. This,
Mr. Moran, you really have to go off to the side so that all the viewers can see. Thank you.
sir, this sign here with the red circle, white stripe through the center of it indicates where ticketed passengers only can go, correct?
Actually, no one could pass that particular sign because that was the exit doors. Ticketed pass to the right of that sign.
If you did not have an airplane ticket, you could stand like where this lady is standing, correct?
That was pushing it, but yes.
Okay. And fair to say that
Mr. Moran, again, against the wall, please.
these two are in stride when the video starts, correct? Mr. Redwine and Dylan Redwine.
Well, I can't see if they're in stride, but yeah, they're side by side.
Okay. So the video showing Dylan exiting these doors was not captured.
It was not, and I'm not really sure. It was partly because it was out of at the outer limit of the focal range of the camera, but the video did not trigger immediately when he hit the door.
Okay. Mr. Brockus, with your time spent at the airport, is it your understanding that it's not uncommon for people picking up passengers at the Durango airport to pick them up at the curb?
Certainly happens far too often.
Yeah, probably frustrating. It's a security thing, huh?
It is correct.
But commonly folks wait for their guests or arriving passengers at the curb at the airport, correct?
Frequently.
And in this instance, obviously, Mr. Redwine's in the airport and greeting his child, right?
Yes.
And we do not have the beginning of this sequence where the two of them, or where at least Dylan is exiting the door and first encounters his dad. He's beyond his father in this image, right?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Any redirect?
Mr. Brockus, what do those people seem to be doing standing right there on the left side of the screen?
There's like a grouping of 4 people there. Is what you're asking about?
Yes, sir.
They're waiting, yeah. I assume, anyway, they are waiting for other passengers.
That's what happens in that part of the airport.
Correct. Actually, you can see a white tape there in front of them, and that's normally where we try to stop people that are waiting from going beyond there, or did in those days.
I appreciate that all these years later it still bothers you that people are past that.
I have some stories.
Well, not today. You done?
Your Honor, yes, we have nothing further from Mr. Brockus. Thank you, sir.
Anything for the jury? Okay, pass it down, please.
Mr. Brockus looks like a fun man. I love how long his hair is. You can tell in that braid he's got really long hair, and he just looks like a fun guy.
No, I think I should probably wait. Thank you. All right, Mr. Brockus, I'll get your name right. Do you remember what the weather was that day at the airport and/or the temperature?
I do not at all.
Anything else for me to say?
No, Your Honor, thank you. And the people would ask that Mr. Brockus be excused from the subpoena.
Any objection?
No, thank you.
Okay, you're free to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your next witness?
Your Honor, the people call Therese Burton to the stand.
All right, finally, a witness who's completely excused. It's about time.
You right up here, Ms. Burton? And if you'd raise your right hand before you sit down, please. Raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you. Have a seat.
Hi. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm good.
Please state your full name, spelling your last name for the record.
Therese Marie Burton, B-U-R-T-O-N.
Ms. Burton, how are you employed?
I am employed at Walmart.
How long have you worked for Walmart?
22 years.
Long career with Walmart. What location are you at currently?
Currently, I'm at the West Side in Farmington, New Mexico.
Can you walk us through your career with Walmart just briefly, please?
Can.
Before you start, it looks like you just pulled out a piece of paper.
I did.
No,
It just says my years at Walmart and what I've done. I've done a lot.
I appreciate your preparation for today. Can you just, from the best of your recollection, tell us about your career at Walmart, and then if you need to look at something, we need to know what it is you're looking at.
Okay, so I started off in TLE. I was department manager for a year. Tire Lube and Express. And then I went to pharmacy for about 4 years, and I was a department manager and then also a tech in the pharmacy. I was ICS lead for a year. I went to stationery as department manager, went to the UPC department, which is takes care of all the items that comes into the store for 3 years. And then I became a asset protection manager, and I did that for 3 years. And then I went to become, I was an optician for 6 years, and then I transferred. And I do just about anything at this store that we needed to.
What store did you work at prior to going to the Farmington location?
Durango, store 2270.
And were you an asset protection manager when you were at the store in Durango?
I was.
What did that involve on a daily basis?
It involved making sure all the cameras were working, were clear, could maintain, that everything was recording. Basically just checking to make sure that, the store was being protected. So.
You were contacted by law enforcement after November 18th, 2012, in connection with the disappearance of a young man named Dylan Redwine?
I was.
What did they request of you?
They requested to come in and see the cameras and to get a receipt, because that was the last that they knew that he was there.
That who was there?
Dylan and his dad.
You say Dylan and his dad, you're referring to Dylan Redwine and Martha?
Yes.
And what did you do upon receiving that request from law enforcement?
Just took him back to the office. We pulled the receipt first, because that tells me what register they went to. And then normally you go backwards. So you have a time, like a timestamp at 2 o'clock. So at that register, say it's 13, then you start going backwards and following them. It's just easier.
When you say following them, what does that involve? Can you explain that to the jury?
It's a matter of, so you know your cameras, and you go down grocery main action way to, like, if you went to the meat department, and then they all have different names, and we can pretty much follow you throughout the whole store. The only place we can't follow you is in the we know you went in there, and I couldn't tell you. I'd have to look at the receipt, but looking at this, it's telling me that was the.
Stop for 1 second. No. That's different.
Okay. It's been too long.
I understand it's been a long time. May I proceed? You may. Bert, I'm going to ask you to take a look at it.
Challenge the past. Challenge accept.
It's been previously marked as people's 40 for identification. Do you recognize that, ma'am?
I do.
What do you recognize that to be? That's
the receipt that we pulled off of the register. And do you want to know what register it was, or?
Yes, please.
So it was register 14, and the time was 7:05.
On what date?
On the 18th of November.
2012.
Yes.
And was that receipt made a receipt such as that one?
Correct.
And the receipt was retained and kept in the course of regular business activity?
Right.
Your Honor, at this time I move to admit people's 40 into evidence. Mr. Bogan?
No objection.
Submitted. Thank you, Your Honor. So the time on the receipt was?
7:05 in the evening.
That means what time they're paying and checking out?
Right. That's when it's ended, basically.
So when you have that information from the receipt, what do you do next?
So I started from the register, and I started just following them back. So they did split up, and at that point I had to take one of them, you know, follow, write it all down as to where everybody went, what was fixed. And it's, I mean, so I followed Dylan, and I also followed his dad throughout the whole store, when they met up, when they didn't meet up, you know, what they were doing.
And did you put together a disc capturing all those things?
I did.
And how'd you go about doing that?
So, since everybody's tech savvy now, everything is there, and you tell it, I want from 7:05, you know, a little bit before 7:05, putting everything on, and then you just start going backwards. And, you know, so until I get to that clip that he's out of that camera shot, which could have been 6:59, I take that, and then I go to the next camera, and I take that, drop it to the disc that I'm going to copy, and I go to the next camera. I start from that time until he's out of the range, and I tell the computer to take that and drop it over to be copied to the disc too, you know, all the way through until they walk back, they walk in. So in other words, I got them walking out and walking in.
And do you ultimately put together the video compilation from start to finish?
I did, yeah.
And do you also have a version where you use the spotlighting function?
Yes.
What is that?
So sometimes it's hard to really see, or there's too many people in the area. So if you highlight it, it shows you who we're looking at. So a lot of times if someone's shoplifting, you know, we want them to see what they had in their hand or where they were putting it on their body. So that way we can show what happened.
Pointed to the court
Yeah.
in reference to perhaps a shoplifting.
Right.
Seems like you've had some experience with this.
A little bit.
And did you, in regards to this case, put together two discs, one version that's a whole compilation and the other version that's a compilation including the spotlight?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at and mark these people 38 and 39 for identification. Do you recognize those, Ms. Burton?
I do.
What do you recognize those to be?
They're the discs that I made.
How do you know that people 38 and people 39 are the same disc that you made?
Because it's got my signature on it, and I did come in and review it before this to make sure it was the same one.
So is there, I'm sorry, your initials or signature on each
Right.
disc as well as the date that you reviewed it last?
Right.
And are each of those discs a fair, accurate, and in fact exact recording of the clips that you were able to identify and put together from November 18th, 2012?
They are.
Your Honor, at this time I'd seek to admit 38 and 39 into evidence, please.
Any objection?
One question on voir dire, if I may.
Go ahead.
The discs, both the spotlight and the non-spotlight, contain a compilation of all the clips you collected of both Dylan Redwine and Mr. Redwine, his father?
Yes.
No objection.
Okay, they'll both be admitted. And just for clarity for me, which one's got the spotlight on it, 38 or 39?
It's Exhibit 39, Your Honor.
39.
Thank you.
At this point, with the court's permission, I'd like to play Exhibit 39. And as we go through that, Ms. Burton, I'm going to ask you questions at different points to help the jury understand where these two individuals, Dylan Redwine and Mark Redwine, are located within the store.
Okay.
We're going to...
Is there an issue?
No issue.
Okay.
Mr. Champagne was suggesting that I talk with Your Honor about the timing for the finish of the day, and I think that might be a good idea. We could have
It's 3 o'clock. We have a hard stop at 3.
and we will definitely stop by then, of course, Your Honor. The video itself that we're putting into evidence is approximately 34 minutes. And then I would have some follow-up questions from Ms. Burton, but it appears she'd have to come back tomorrow.
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
So before we start the video, you mentioned, ma'am, there were times where Dylan and Mark Redwine were not together
Yes.
in Walmart. How soon after they entered Walmart did you find them to separate?
As soon as they came in.
As soon as they entered the store.
Yeah, they got in through the vestibule, which where the doors are, and you come through. That's called the vestibule, and then you get into the actual tile part, and that's the beginning of Walmart. You know, and that's what it's split up.
So we have here on the screen frozen picture. What's the date and time that we have here?
It's November the 18th at 6:18:54 p.m.
What is the jury looking at in this still?
It's the walking into Walmart. It's the vestibule.
I'm going to play this for the first 21 seconds. Let me stop it there. Were you able to identify Dylan Redwine entering the store?
Yes, that's Dylan right there.
Okay, that's Dylan Redwine. Where in particular is he in this picture?
He has the hat on, the black and white hat with the black shirt.
Okay, so he has the white hat, and then you said black and white hat and black shirt?
Yes.
And we could just back up a few seconds, please. Were you able to identify Mark Redwine entering the store?
Yes, he's going in to get the carts. He's got the white hat on and the jacket.
Where is he on that picture, ma'am?
He is heading into the cart bay. He's behind the lady in the green.
We're going to move ahead somewhat until 37 seconds more. Ms. Burton, where do we see Dylan Redwine at this point?
Is in the grocery action alley, which is heading back towards the milk department. In other words, it's clothing on this side, food on this side, and the milk department straight back. Yeah.
Can I approach, Your Honor, and give Ms. Burton the pointer?
Yes.
My fingers are not working.
The court's permission, I'm going to ask you to step down if you could. And
Ms. Burton, would you also pick up the, after you get down? There's a microphone on the stand next to you. It's a wireless mic. If you could hold that in your other hand so that, to the right, to your right.
Oh, this guy right
here. Yeah, just pull it out and talk into it. We're streaming this so people can hear.
Okay. So this is Dylan right here, and he is heading towards the dairy department. This is your soft line area. This is grocery. So he's heading straight back towards the back.
And where is Mark Redwine at this point?
He is heading out of the store.
And can you please point to that on the screen, please? Yes. And the circle of light there, is that the spotlight that you referred to earlier?
Yes.
We're going to go ahead until the minute 13 mark. Ms. Burton, is the screen on the right the one you're looking at to try to identify and spotlight Dylan Redwine?
Are we talking this one here?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
And where did we see, if at all, Dylan Redwine on that screen?
He's in this area looking at DVDs.
About, sorry.
There.
How about Mark Redwine?
He is just walking back into the store.
Where do you see that?
He is walking through the vestibule again, coming towards into the store.
Okay, we're going to go ahead to the 134 mark. And what did we see with regards to Dylan Redwine on the right-hand side of the screen?
He went into the men's restroom.
And who did he go in with?
No one inside.
And where is Mark Redwine at this point in the store?
He is walking down the, looks like it's the chemical side of the, he's still in brush, shopping.
Move ahead.
He's in the frozen area.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move ahead to the 244 mark. We'll let this keep rolling, but Ms. Burton, did we see Dylan Redwine leave the restroom?
We did.
And again, what did you see him wearing in that piece there?
He still had on the same hat and shirt. The black and white hat with the black shirt.
What are we seeing here, Ms. Burton?
He's back in electronics, walking towards the game area.
What is Dylan Redwine looking at this point at the 2-minute and 45-second mark?
That's usually controllers and stuff in that area to play the video games with.
Where is Mark Redwine at this point?
He's in the vegetable department. Produce area.
Produce area, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move ahead to the 441. We're going to keep this playing here, Ms. Burton, but I may ask you a couple questions as we go, okay?
Okay.
We see now a spot of light on the left-hand side of the screen, and it just faded. What was that spotlight focused on?
I'm sorry, I was watching Dylan. Can you go back?
Sure, I'm sorry.
It was a spotlight on Mr. Redwine getting potatoes or something.
Okay. What do we see Dylan Redwine doing here at the 346 mark, Ms. Burton?
Well, he was yachting and just kind of hanging out. He was walking towards Action Alley, going back towards the front of the store, orientated to right now.
Where is Dylan at this point?
He's still in electronics. He's over by the video game cages.
Where's his father in the store at this point?
He's still in produce.
of the clip, what do we see Dylan Redwine doing, Ms. Burton?
He's checking out some of the games that are out and not locked up in electronics.
Where is his father, Mr. Redwine?
He's still in produce, getting fresh vegetables.
I think the jury might be oriented to what we're going to be doing here, so if you want to have a seat, sit back while we do the rest of this. I think that makes sense.
And if you still talk into the handheld microphone, if you turn away, they won't be able to hear you. So,
Oh, okay.
And one screen has gone black. What does that signify at that point?
That he's out of view of the camera right now.
He being Dylan Redwine.
Right. A lot of times we don't have cameras in soft lines, which is the clothing area. So that would be why you wouldn't see him if you went in there to look.
Screen here at the 7-minute mark.
That's the meat department. He's looking at meat.
He being Mark Redwine.
Redwine.
You'll see Mr. Redwine on camera here in the meat department, on the left-hand side of the screen.
Yes.
Any sign of Dylan Redwine in the vicinity?
Do not see Dylan.
My apologies, guys. I am not quite sure what I've got going on with my connection issues. But if I can't get it fixed, then we'll just restart because I am not sure what is going on. Bear with me.
What do we see here, Ms. Burton?
He's heading towards the deli department where we have, back towards the back of the store.
And he, just for the record, being
Is Mark Redwine.
about now.
He is still in the meat/deli area.
Do we know where Dylan Redwine is at this point?
No,
But not in that area.
he is not in the area with his dad.
Burton, I'm going to stop it here for a second. We see the spotlight on the screen there on the left. What was the reason you put the spotlight on there?
Just showing that he had left the bunkers of meat and headed down the aisle, and it could be the beer aisle, I'm not sure, until the next shot comes up.
Could be the what aisle?
The beer aisle, alcohol aisle, that's right in through there. So until the next screen comes up where we catch him, that'll tell me the next aisle he went down.
Okay. And where do we see Dylan Redwine, if at all?
We don't see him.
What does Mr. Redwine appear to be looking at this point, 12:11 into the clip?
That looks like that's Coke on that aisle. Across from it is the bunker of, are you asking Dylan or his dad? I'm sorry.
Okay. Mark Redwine, Mr. Redwine.
Okay. It looks like he was picking up Coke or something. On that side is the Coke and water area.
And then what do we now have on the right-hand side of the screen?
We have Dylan back in electronics looking at phones and GPS.
Still wearing that same hat?
He is.
Burton, I'm going to stop it at 12:58. You see a spotlight on the right-hand side of the screen. Can you tell the jury what we're looking at here, please?
That's the kiosk that Dylan's at.
Fair to say a different view of the same area that we just saw the overhead shot from?
Right.
What is Dylan doing at this point, Ms. Burton?
He's heading towards the other kiosk that we have associates behind to help them decide what they want to buy. That could be another phone center or could be the GPS.
Who is he with at this point?
He's by himself.
On the left-hand side of the screen, what do we see now?
We see Mark walking over to the dairy area.
What do we have Dylan doing here, Ms. Burton?
He's looking at the DVDs.
At this point, which is 14:45.
Mark is walking around the dairy bunker area looking.
Say Mark, you're referring to Mark Redwine?
Mark Redwine, yes.
Is that him there in the white hat circling?
Yes, it is.
What do we see Dylan Redwine doing?
Dylan is heading towards the auto area, leaving electronics. And now he's coming back into electronics.
See the spotlight again on the right-hand side of the screen. What does that signify?
Dylan is in electronics. He's back by that kiosk he was at earlier.
1604, Ms. Burton.
Dylan is still in electronics at the kiosk, looking at, it looks like pads and stuff now.
What do we have spotlighted here?
Dylan is leaving electronics, heading towards the grocery area.
The record, that's the 1616 mark, 6:38:55 p.m., is that right?
Yes, that's right.
See Dylan here at 6:39:12.
Yes, he's looking at movies again.
The spotlight here at 6:40 p.m. What are we looking at, Ms. Burton?
Dylan is heading towards, looks like hardware. And now he's back in electronics.
That's at 6:41 p.m.
Yes.
So 6:42:09, Ms. Burton. What does Dylan appear to be doing here?
You have to excuse me, guys. My dog's over here talking to me. He's telling me he needs to go out.
He's in electronics, and he is going through the dump bin of movies.
Say dump bin, just to make sure we're all on the same page. What do you mean?
So we get big boxes of movies that come in. We just dump them in that bin, and then everybody just goes through them. That way, that's just a dump bin. It's the cheapest movies we have that everybody gets to buy.
What do we see on the left-hand side of the screen here at 6:42:25?
It looks like Mark is back in grocery. He's by the dairy bunkers. That's the eggs and stuff that we have in the refrigerated case. That's where he was. So he came back this way a little bit.
Here at 6:43:30, we see a spotlight on the right-hand side of the screen. What are we looking at, Ms. Burton?
On the right-hand side, you see Dylan still going through the dump bin, and Mark is over in grocery at the cold bunker where the eggs and cheese are, heading back up towards it's called Action Alley Grocery, where basically he is.
Ms. Burton, it's 6:45:09 on the clock there. What do we see on the right and what do we see on the left?
Dylan is still at the dump bin in electronics, looking at movies, and Mark Redwine has gone to the laundry soap area, still shopping.
Entering the store, how much time have they spent together?
None.
6:45:57, Ms. Burton, what do we see at this point?
Dylan is still at the dump bin. It looks like Mark has come back to see where he's at. He's next to Dylan.
What did it appear Dylan just did?
Looks like he picked out some movies and put them in the cart.
The 6:46:28, Mark, Ms. Burton, what do we see happening here?
Looks like they're having a conversation in electronics right in front of the DVD movies.
Your Honor, we have a ways to go. This might be a good stopping point with the 3 o'clock stop sign.
I was about to interrupt you. So 6:46:28 is where we'll start again tomorrow on this. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember, you're not to discuss this case either amongst yourselves or with anyone else during the course of the trial. Do not initiate, post, or respond to anything about the case on social media. Keep an open mind throughout the trial. Reach your decision only during your final deliberations. Don't let any third parties talk to you about the case. Again, if anybody does over your objection, let me know. Don't talk with anybody involved in the case other than Aaron or myself or Cindy. Particularly not the lawyers, witnesses, or anybody else that's been in the courtroom today. Don't gather any information on your own. Do not engage in any outside reading on the case. Do not attempt to visit any places mentioned in the case. Don't read about the case newspaper. Listen to it on the radio, watch it on TV, look at the internet, social media, or any other media source about this. Don't try and learn about this case outside the courtroom.
Okay, let's go ahead and skip ahead.
Tomorrow in court, but I'd like to start as soon thereafter. So is 10 to 8 still work for everybody to get here?
Let's finish up her testimony, guys.
Get into the courthouse, excuse me. Okay.
Please rise.
Thank you. You can be seated. Just one issue before bringing in the jury. And what you have to do is hit the mute button. It seems counterintuitive. And then just happens with the button. And if it's not...
There we go.
Is it? Okay.
Both Exhibit 38 and 39 were put into evidence yesterday.
Right.
And we were watching Exhibit 39 along with the jury, which was the spotlighted compilation version that you described.
Right.
With the court's permission, I'm going to put Exhibit 39 back on the screen and we're going to resume where we left off yesterday.
Thank you. Let's do that.
I apologize, Your Honor. We had it on just moments ago.
It never runs smooth, so it's okay.
Thank you. Here we go. We left off yesterday with the video clock at 6:46:28 p.m. on November 18th, 2012, and we'll resume from there. Ms. Burton, here we are at the 6:47 mark, and what do we see here on the video?
They're heading towards the front of the store to check out is what it looks like.
At this point now, Dylan Redwine and Mark Redwine are together in the store.
Yes.
Another camera view of the same. Based on your knowledge of the store, Ms. Burton, what are they looking at here at 6:47:55?
Well, that's grocery action alley, so 10 to 1, they're just looking at a stack base of something that's called a push to see if it will sell.
What did it appear happened just then?
Dylan decided to pick up that item that is on the stack base, and now Mark is looking at a can of something, putting it in the basket.
Where are they in the store at this point?
Called the front end grocery action alley. It's right in front of the registers.
Time now is 6:49:09. What does it appear they're doing?
I think that's the rotisserie area. It's where you can buy chickens and, you know, that are already cooked and take home and eat.
What does it appear Dylan Redwine is doing at this point?
Looks like he's on his phone.
6:49:13 p.m. on November 18th. Is that right, Ms. Burton?
Yes, that's right.
And we have a different camera view here. Can you describe for the jury what we see, please?
Dylan is sitting on the bench outside the restrooms, the front of the store.
Hi, Mom. Kelly, Rita, and I just went on our Carnival cruise. We tried new things and new food.
What do we see at this point, Ms. Burton?
Dylan is between register 14 and 15, heading towards grocery, the front end action alley.
What does he appear to be holding at this point?
I don't know. It could be his phone. It could be something he picked up. His phone or something. Or something he picked up.
See the spotlight again at 6:55:49 p.m. What are you spotlighting here, Ms. Burton?
Looks like he's putting his phone away in his pocket.
(6:56 p.m.) What's going on here?
Dylan sitting back on the bench by the restrooms up front, by the registers.
Who does he appear to be with, if anyone?
No one. He's by himself.
as we continue to roll this clip, we see people entering and exiting the restrooms and Dylan continuing to sit there.
Yes.
What does it appear Dylan's doing, if anything?
Just seems to be people watching, hanging out, not doing much, just sitting there.
.57 p.m., November 18th.
I'm sorry, say it again?
6:57 p.m. and now 6:58 p.m. on November 18th.
He's still sitting there. It looks like he's just very, moving around, trying to get comfortable, trying to wait.
If he were using his phone at this point or had something in his hand, you'd be unable to see from this angle.
Correct.
.7:02, 52 seconds. What are you spotlighting here, Ms. Burton?
Dylan and his dad are at the register 14. His dad looks like he's paying. Dylan has walked off.
We are at 7:03:49, Ms. Burton. What do we see?
Dylan is at register 15. Looks like he's got a snow brush for your car in his hand. And his dad's putting stuff in the basket, register 14.
Meet 3 people who took control of their money with a Chase Secure banking account. No minimum deposit to open. Simple tools. Control at hand. One bank for today and tomorrow. Chase, make more of what's yours.
At Accelerate 3D, we use large-size, high-speed 3D printing to help hardware companies bridge the gap between prototype and mass production. That'll work. Windows 11 Pro and Dell Computers.
Switch angles here at 7:05:03. Tell the jury what we're watching at this point, please.
It looks like when Dylan was going to the restroom and hanging out on the bench.
Now he's back in that area.
Right.
you see Dylan doing? Okay.
Looks like when he was out of the camera shot and he was standing up, just by the bench. I don't really know what he's doing. Being pretty active.
I'm just going to need you to speak up for the court reporter, please.
I'm sorry. It looks like he's being really active and just hanging out.
Here we have 7:06 p.m. on November 18th. What is it we're looking at here?
Looks like they're walking towards the grocery side exit. Dylan and his dad together.
Does it appear?
Dylan has got his hands crossed still, and they're just talking. Looks like.
What we watched just then, Ms. Burton?
They walked out of the grocery doors and to their car.
Were you also able to see them on video outside the store?
Yes.
Without playing that whole thing at this point, can you tell the jury what you see when you watch the video of them outside the store?
It just showed them going to their car, putting the stuff in the vehicle and leaving. And then before that, it showed them just arriving and coming into the store. It was nothing significant that I felt, you know, just people coming and going from the store.
And although you say you didn't view anything significant, did you also capture that video and provide it to law enforcement, so you provided both sides here?
I did.
By both sides, I mean the prosecution and the defense.
Yes.
You don't need to hold the mic anymore since we have that other microphone.
It's just a few.
You can hold it if you want.
Okay.
And Ms. Burton, just to finish off your direct examination here, I do want to just go through the receipt really quickly,
okay,
if we can. So I'm going to approach if the court will grant me permission.
Yes.
Handed you back Exhibit 40 in evidence, the Walmart receipt. And I'm just going to ask you to walk the jury through what the purchases were and the time and total at the bottom. They'll have an opportunity, since it's been admitted into evidence, to view it later if they wish, but I think it'd be helpful for you to just read it to them now.
So do you want me to read them everything they bought?
If you don't mind,
okay,
all
right.
Yes.
So it shows our store number, which is 2270, and then the register 14. And then the transaction number tells you where it comes in the sequence of us pulling this up. And it also has the operator number as to who checks them out. So there's Ruffles, Munchies, two big candy bars, pistachio, cereal, I don't know what that is, Olroy maybe, cornbread, Citrical, 8-pack Gatorade, butter, dip, ricotta cheese, milk, pizza, breadsticks, veggie tray, Italian dressing, a cinnamon roll, snack dip, chicken dunks, Jimmy Dean sausages, eggs, peppermint, I don't know.
Dive into
They gonna make sure they get their money with these ads.
during the Living Spaces Memorial Day event. Warm up your home and save big on collect.
Chips, snack dip, cucumber, white onion, sweet potatoes, Coffee Mate, Duracell batteries, some Godiva chocolate, chicken broth, Tide, and then 2 DVDs. And the total is $120.84, paid with on a visa. It was approved on 11/18/2012 at 7:05.
By approved, you mean the checkout time from the store was roughly 7:05?
Right, and it was a total of 36 items. So his credit card went through and the purchase was complete.
Burton, I don't have any other questions for you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bogan?
Yes, we're sharing the same HDMI cable. I'm going to need.
Oh, are we?
We are. It's just, and both parties have worked hard to do this, and I'm going to ask.
Sure.
If it says no signal when we plug it into my machine, I'm going to beg everyone's patience. Ms. Burton, I just want to go through some of the clips you played, or some of the clips that you spoke about yesterday afternoon and this morning.
Okay.
Okay. First, drawing your attention to the first clip here. Do you recognize that?
Yeah, that's Durango 2270, the vestibule,
Okay, and describe for the jury what the vestibule is, please.
where you walk from the outside to the inside to where not all the warm air doesn't flow out as doors open. It just maintains the heat of the store.
And is that the entrance that you go through and you wind up right in the grocery section, or you wind up more to the, what I'm going to say, the left side of the store by pharmacy and other stuff?
No, it's the grocery vestibule where you walk in and you start at the grocery area.
Okay. And I'm going to hit play here, ask you to watch. And I'm stopping it there at Walmart timestamp 6/18/57. Does that look correct to you, ma'am?
Yes,
And who we got walking into the Walmart on the grocery side there?
that's Dylan.
Okay. And you identify him by the hat and the clothing, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Hitting play again. And who's that coming in right there?
That's Mark Redwine, Dylan's father.
Okay, thank you. And another portion that you testified about, I believe, yesterday was a video clip of this area. And again, remind the jury what we're looking at here. Where in Walmart is this?
So that's the entrance to Walmart where you normally see the greeters, and you pick up your own basket and start shopping, basically. It's your entrance.
Okay, and I'm going to hit play again. And safe to say, we can see Mr. Redwine and Dylan Redwine coming through in that entrance, correct?
Yes.
And you described this before on direct, but let's hit play. Stopping at timestamp Walmart 6/19/04. Looks like Mr. Redwine's going to get a shopping cart. That area there on the viewer's left is where you get a shopping cart, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And Dylan's walking straight into to Walmart, correct?
Right.
Okay. And at this point, obviously, it looks like Mr. Redwine has got the shopping cart and is going into the store proper, correct?
That's right.
And we know that because he's the person in the white hat and dark colored top, correct?
Correct.
And can you see what color the shirt is under the dark colored top?
It kind of looks like green.
Thank you.
You're on a carnival cruise at Amber Cove. 3 generations of Clifton standing hand in hand, ready to push off.
And stopping at timestamp 6:20:00. Who do we see here, ma'am?
Mark Redwine heading towards the grocery exit.
Okay. Same Mark Redwine, obviously, who came in a few moments before, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And safe to say, stopping again at Walmart timestamp 6:20:11. That's Mark Redwine leaving the store for whatever reason, correct?
Right. He went out the indoors to go out to the parking lot.
Which is probably why it's important to have a greeter there so they can tell people which
There
door.
you have it.
Yeah. And I'm stopping here at timestamp 6:19:43, Walmart timestamp. Remind the jury what we're looking at here.
That's Grocery Action Alley heading up to the dairy bunkers.
Okay. And if I'm walking into the Walmart on the grocery side of the store and I want to get to the back of the store, is this the main thoroughfare I would take to get there from that entrance?
It is.
Okay. And then tell me if I'm getting anything wrong here. If I want to get to electronics, DVDs, gaming consoles, pads, phones, I'd go down this main thoroughfare and take a left towards that part of the store, correct?
Sure, you could do it that way.
Hitting play. And if we look in the middle of that slide, when I stop the video at Walmart timestamp 6:19:58, can you see Dylan again?
Yeah, Dylan's right by the stack base that says 478, I think.
Okay. And if I hit play, I bet I can create a little bit more space between him and some other customers.
Yeah, now he's by the $2 stack base with his hands in his pockets, walking towards the back of the store.
Okay, he's walking back towards the back of the store. What's the timestamp there?
6:19:59 p.m.
Right. And we know from watching the previous clip that, well, and can you describe for the jury where the bathrooms are in the back of the wall? Let's put the bathrooms in the back by electronics. Do you know?
Yes, that's why we've got cameras and everything there. It tends to.
Anyone who's been to a Walmart before would expect the bathrooms to be by electronics.
And the front of the store.
And there's also the ones that we watch at the front of the store
Right.
as well. All right, okay. Okay. And this is timestamp 6:23:14. Timestamp 6:23:50. Dylan Redwine leaving the bathroom, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we know from watching some of the other clips yesterday that at 6:23, Mark Redwine's coming back into the Walmart from wherever he went, safe to say?
Yes.
And then we know at roughly 6:23 from watching the other clips yesterday that Mark Redwine is in produce at this time.
If that's what happened. I just don't remember, but yes, if that's what the clips are.
Right. And you remember telling the jury yesterday that Mr. Redwine was in produce looking at potatoes and stuff like that, right?
I do remember that, yes. I just don't, I mean, you know, it's been 9 years, and I just testified to it yesterday, and I had the prompting of the actual video.
And you testified to this clip as well yesterday. Remind us what this is.
So that's electronics. That's the gaming area where the locked up games are that he's heading towards.
Okay. And when you say he, are you referring to Dylan Redwine in aisle on the left there?
I am referring to Dylan, yes.
Okay, thank you. And I think you testified about this yesterday, and I'll bet Walmart's design has changed in the last 9 years. Can you discern what he's looking at there?
You know, it's gaming, either cards or it could be controllers. But, you know, it's all within that area that we put that stuff so that it makes.
Need credit help? See the credit rebuild experts at David Stanley Chevrolet for approval now.
Steak, please. That's El Monterey for real shredded steak makes a better burrito. El Monterey Signature Burritos.
And one of the things you just mentioned in your many years experiences working at Walmart is, one, you got bathrooms backed by electronics, correct?
Right.
And you got a lot of cameras back there in electronics, correct?
Yes.
Because the electronics coupled with the bathroom can equal sometimes people running off with expensive stuff.
Correct.
Okay. But you also said it's not uncommon, and another reason you have heightened cameras back there is because you get a lot of kids back there.
Absolutely.
Not uncommon for kids to go to the electronics section of Walmart.
Nope.
You testified about this either this morning or yesterday afternoon. I'm going to try and get her. Is this Action Alley?
Yes.
And remind the court, remind the jury where this is in Walmart again.
That's Grocery Action Alley. The shot is going back to the dairy coolers.
Okay. Again, and this is the same one we talked about a while ago, that if you come in at grocery, one way to get to the back bathrooms, one way to get to electronics is to go down this main thoroughfare, take a left, and that'll get you to where?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, this is timestamp Walmart 64716, correct?
Yes.
And I'm going to stop it at Walmart 64734. Can we start to see, I'm not playing the highlighted version, can we start to see Mr. Redwine and Dylan Redwine emerging in the top of the left aisle there?
Yeah, they're walking towards us. They're buying menswear. It looks like it says $1 something. Yeah, that's back days.
Okay.
Well, it looks like the lady was.
So I think what I'm trying to do is just take any attention away from the fact that Dylan and Mark were not together. Dylan didn't want to be by his dad. Dylan didn't want to walk next to his emails, anything. And the defense really, really, really does not like that the prosecution was trying to state that you can tell by this video that there's tension between the two, that there's a distance, a huge, considerable, distance between father and son, from the fact that Dylan's by himself, that when they are together, their interaction is very minimal, that their body language just screams, or Dylan's body language anyway, just screams, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be with my dad. I think that's what they're doing.
And then safe to say Mr. Redwine and Dylan Redwine walk out of the frame together, correct?
Right.
And what are we looking at here and from what angle?
So this is from the grocery stores shooting down to the GM doors. So we can see when people exit with their merchandise or when they're going to the customer service desk or the bathroom.
Bathroom's there on the left underneath that kind of orange sign, or am I getting that wrong?
That's wrong. That's just for customers to sit. It's down further. It's beyond customer service. There's a person standing there in a gray shirt.
Okay.
It's a little bit beyond that.
And the resolution's not great, but can you see Mr. Redwine and Dylan Redwine in the frame?
Yeah, they're in front of customer service, and Dylan is.
Okay, let me say this, Gail, too. There for a while, there was a lot of video, and we could see a huge portion. We could see a huge portion of the left side of the screen, and it just looked blank. That was where the bathroom was, and you could see customers going in and out of the bathroom. On the right side of our screen, where her head is, which she'd move her head, if her head was moved, we would have seen Dylan sitting down on the bench. Okay, so we've all been to the Walmart, right? And we've all been at the checkout, and especially this was, again, prior to self-checkout, and they always had a bench by the bathrooms. And there was a lot of times I would send my kid, like you could see the bench from where you were checking out, and I'd send them over there. Go sit. Y'all are driving me crazy. No, you can't put stuff up here because I have to organize my conveyor belt, okay? Go sit down. That's typically and normal, like you said, Gail. However, think about it this way. Had he not seen his mom for months, and the roles were switched, and he was at the grocery store with mom and not dad, I guarantee you he would have been standing right next to mom at that checkout line because he loved his mom. He cared about his mom. He respected his mom. He would have missed his mom. Dylan did not want to be there. I will reiterate this till I am blue in the face. The court ordered that Dylan go on this trip. Dylan never returned from this trip. Sometimes our gut instinct is huge, even when we're a 13-year-old boy. He didn't want to go. And this shows it. Defense. Okay, sorry.
Walking in front of the car, it appears.
And how about now? Can you tell the jury where they are?
They're in front of the bank. Dylan is to the right of Mark. Looks like he's chewing on his nails, and Mark is pushing the cart.
Beauty isn't just what we put on, it's what we put out into the world. And until everyone sees beauty for all that it is and all that it can be, we won't stop moving beauty forward. Ulta Beauty, the possibilities are beautiful.
And then they exit the frame together, correct?
They do.
And just so the record's clear, Mr. Bogan, those are all excerpts from Exhibit 39 that you pulled out to show the jury?
Yes, Judge.
And you're not planning on introducing that as an exhibit? You identified what the timestamps were, so we should be okay?
Unless counsel has an objection.
Okay. No objection. All right, thank you.
So, safe to say, at the request of law enforcement, you were asked to track down all these video clips, correct?
Correct.
And you're told that law enforcement wanted video clips of Dylan Redwine and Mr. Redwine in Walmart if you had them, right?
Right.
And as you described to the jury yesterday, you were diligent in accomplishing that, obviously.
Right.
And you had a very specific process of getting the receipt and working your way backwards from there, right?
Correct.
So you viewed all of these videos that we've been talking about and watched the last 2 days, correct? And we were talking over each other. You watched all these.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. And you even said on direct that you watched the video of them walking in together, correct?
Right.
In the parking lot.
Right.
And you watched the video of them exiting together.
Correct.
Okay. And from your view of all these videos of the two of them in Walmart, you didn't see Mr. Redwine gesticulating or doing anything other than what people do when they're at Walmart, which is to buy stuff.
Right.
And you didn't see any interactions between Dylan Redwine and Mr. Redwine that caught your attention.
He just looked like he didn't want to be there.
And obviously, you can't see Dylan's face, correct?
No.
And these are not audio, correct?
Right.
So you can't hear what they're saying to each other. And you don't know what they said to each other in the parking lot.
No.
And you don't know if they had a plan of, I'll go get groceries, you go pick out a movie.
Right.
Because we don't have the audio, you don't know what those interactions are.
Correct.
And your opinion as to that's deduced from the quality of these videos.
Right.
Okay. Nothing further.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Ms. Burton, you've been with Walmart a long time.
Yes.
I appreciate you being here, so thank you again. On cross-examination, you just said, just looked like you didn't want to be there. The he being who?
Dylan.
That's based on your watching the videos?
Right.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the jury? Looks like at least one.
See, that's exactly what he didn't want her to say. The defense did not want her to say. It just looked like he didn't want to be there. But it's clear he did not want to be there, and everybody can see it, and the defense hates it. He's even sitting there saying the law enforcement tried to make or told you they wanted these videos. Yeah, they needed proof of life. This was a child, and they needed to see when was the last time somebody else saw him other than his father. We have the text messages between Ryan Nava and Dylan Redwine going back and forth. We have when he texted his mom stating that he arrived. However, a text message you can, and you can see in all of these cases that we watch, they will get up there and say, I can tell you this originated from this phone, but I cannot tell you who was behind the phone and who was sending those messages. So these videos at Walmart are extremely important in this case because it shows actual proof of life for Dylan Redwine. Because once he leaves Walmart, once they go to McDonald's and we don't get to see that, but once he's seen on McDonald's and then they go home, He's never seen again. Nobody sees him again. The mail carrier, she lies, in my opinion, and says she saw him, and it's a lie. But he's never seen again. So defense, sorry about you, but this was important, and he didn't want to be there, and it's obvious, and that's how I feel.
All right, Ms. Burton, a question from the jury is, and when you answer, talk to them. Not
Okay.
me. Okay. Is the restroom bench Dylan Redwine was sitting at with inside of the registers where Mr. Redwine was paying for his purchases?
It is. So the cigarette point of service, which is the register, is 15, and then he was at 14. So that goes directly into the bathroom. Basically, if you walk through there, you'll walk to the bathroom where the bench is.
Anything else based on that?
Not from the people, Your Honor. Thank you. Mr. Logan?
Obviously, you testified about your observations of Dylan sitting on that bench, right?
Right.
Okay. And you testified about what your impressions are about that, correct?
Right.
And it's not uncommon for kids to be bored at Walmart and not want to be there, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further.
Any questions?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything else from the jury? Can Ms. Burton be excused?
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. That'd be the people's request. Thank you.
Yes, please.
All right, you're free to go. Thanks a lot. Next witness.
Okay, guys, that's where we're going to go ahead and stop for today, because